Today we're going to change the thermostat on a 2001 Chrysler PT Cruiser. This should work on all PT Cruisers. This has the 2.4 liter straight 4, and the thermostat is located right under the radiator cap. Although the radiator cap actually isn't on the radiator. The radiator is right over here, but it's right here. And you can look under here, and that's where the thermostat will go. So here's everything you'll need to do the job: thermostat gasket, pliers, get the hoses off, ratchet, extension, pretty long one. It's probably about like 6 to 8 inches, and then a 13/32 ratchet piece. And I also forgot to mention, you also are going to need a 3/8 wrench to bleed the system. So here's what the thermostat looks like. It's going to go right in once we take this whole assembly off. So the first step is going to be start disconnecting hoses. There's this hose right here, and that just comes off like that. Put that aside. Next hose you disconnect is right here. This hose you just take a pliers, you press in, you remove this down like that, and then coolant's going to come out of here when you wiggle it off, so just get ready. Make sure your engine is cool, by the way. When you do all this, your engine should have not run for at least an hour or two, because then you'll get hot coolant all over you. So you want a little bucket underneath just to drain the coolant into. So now this hose right here is off. So now you take your 13/32 ratchet, and there's a bolt right there. You just have to move this line over with your fingers, and then there's a bolt behind it right there. So after those two bolts come out, you're going to rotate this up. So that's what we're going to do right now. It's one bolt. That's 2 bolts. Now just lift this up, just like that. That's kind of out of the way. And you can see it actually fell out a little bit, but that's the old thermostat right there. So what we want to do is make sure that this surface here is clean. Maybe get a paper towel, clean it off. It's kind of hard to get your hand in here, which is why you undo this so you could turn this piece, because this is connected. The old thermostat was in like that. So this piece, which is the temperature adjuster, it pulls the spring to let it open, is in the engine block. And this piece right here, this top piece, this only fits in. There's a notch. I'll show you up close, but there's a notch, and then there's a notch in here. See that notch? That is what you want to fit in here. Just like that. So that notch is right there, and you match it with this notch. So we're going to go put the gasket on the new thermostat. So interestingly, the new thermostat gasket doesn't have a notch. It's just completely round. So unfortunately, the notched gasket, the old one, doesn't fit on the new piece. So I'm just going to have to pay attention how this piece goes in. So this is how the notched gasket would go on. So the problem is that the old gasket right here has these little notches on the side too to hold the gasket in place, which makes it not fit on this. So now we have the new gasket, which is going to go on by sliding the corner into the slot here and just opening it up and going all the way around. There we go. That was nice and easy. So the notch would be right here, remember, on that top side. So that's how we're going to put it in when we install it. So you can see where my thumb is, that's where the notch would be. So that's how we're going to place the new thermostat in. So it's going to be like that. Remember, notch up. Here's where the notch goes. push that in just like that. That's nice and clean. I cleaned it with a paper towel, so there's a nice mating surface here. Push in your thermostat, make sure it's in there tight. The gasket makes a nice seal. Now sneak this back down in there, just like that. And now you're going to align the bolts. Easiest way to align the bolts is to get your extension, place it inside, and then just run it down, and then just hand tighten it for now. Get that other bolt. Tighten that in there. Make sure they thread on correctly. Now just get your ratchet, tighten it down. So don't tighten it down all the way, because you want to get the other side tight as well, so that you create a good seal. Now just go back and forth between tightening to get a nice seal. Just tighten that a little bit. Tighten that a little bit. So now when it gets pretty hard to turn, just turn it just a little bit more. That's pretty snug right there. You don't want to break the bolts. I'm sure there's manufacturer's torque specs. I don't have them, but that's good right there. That's nice and solid. Okay. Now grab your hose. It might be snugged under here. It runs right along here, so just take a look for it. And this gets pushed right on, like that. That's for your coolant overflow tank, which runs out and around all the way up to your coolant overflow tank. Then we also want to tighten that down. So put it on. Wiggle it on there till it kind of clicks in a little bit. Take your pliers, open up the hold ring that they have here, slide that into its spot, like so, and let go. Give it a nice wiggle and pull, and you're all ready. And that's how you change the thermostat on a PT Cruiser. Before I bleed it, I'm going to just add some water. You could add coolant or distilled water, whatever you want. Now that that's topped off, just close it up. With that topped off, we're going to go start the engine. So you want to do two things now. You want to bleed it and you want to check for leaks. It's going to be hard to check for leaks right now because we got everything wet, and we're going to get it even more wet when we bleed it. But the bleeding is done with a 3/8 wrench. So as you saw, all I did was loosened it with the 3/8 wrench, and then I let water come out on a full stream, and then I tightened it really quickly. And when you tighten it, it lets all that air out and only keeps the water in, just like if you bleed the brake system or something. So now we're going to keep an eye on our water temperature gauge, which is right here. So we're just going to watch this. What it should do is come up slowly and then stay at the middle position where it normally runs. So it's been holding here nice and steady. You can see it's right above that line. And yeah, that's it. You're done. It's not spiking, it's not going up really quickly, indicating that the thermostat is stuck and pops open. It's going up nice and smooth, and it's staying at a constant temperature. And we're not driving or anything right now, we're just sitting at idle on a hot summer day. So that's very good. You are done. You have just completed your own thermostat change.